When you think of the Scout in Team Fortress 2, one thing should immediately come to your mind. His speed. He's the fastest class in the game, darting around the battlefield like a hyperactive mosquito with a shotgun. That speed is what defines him. It's how he survives, how he picks his fights, and how he wins them. The Scout is not built to trade blows head on. Unlike the other combat classes, he has a very limited health pool. Instead, he is built to avoid damage entirely, using his mobility to just get out of reach, save for rockets or for sticky bombs, making the other classes seem helpless in order to shoot him. Combine that with the raw power of the scattergun, and you've got a class that thrives on momentum, turning speed into both offense and defense. With all of that in mind, there is no surprise that speed is everything to the Scout. It is his greatest strength, the very thing that makes him fun to play. So what if there was a weapon that took that defining trait and made it even stronger? A weapon that lets you run even faster, turning the Scout's best quality into something completely absurd. Well, that weapon exists, and it is called the Babyface's Blaster. A primary for the Scout which, on paper, sounds like the ultimate upgrade for the class, built entirely around mobility. After all, if speed is the Scout's lifeblood, then surely more of it would make him unstoppable, right? And yet, the Babyface's Blaster is often talked about as being one of the weakest primary Scout has, if not the weakest, and it is a weapon that most players avoid entirely, one that gets written off before it's even given a fair chance. But here's the thing, that reputation isn't really deserved. Because underneath all the complaints this weapon has, I believe that the Babyface's Blaster really is the two things a TF2 weapon should be. One, viable, but most importantly, fun. But to see how this weapon gained that reputation, I of course need to break down its stats. Overall, the Babyface's Blaster only has one upside. On hit, you will gain boost, which increases your movement speed. With a full boost meter, you can hit an incredible 103% movement speed, making you the fastest thing alive in the entire game, since you will be moving at the speed cap. Everything else this weapon offers is a downside. Starting off, you have a minus 34% clip size, bringing your scattergun down from 6 shots to 4. And that already means fewer chances for you to secure damage and build up that all-important boost. But it keeps going. While the boost eventually does make you faster, the weapon starts you off 10% slower. Scout's normal movement speed is 133%, and while this weapon is equipped, it will be decreased to 120%, which still makes him the fastest class in the game, just not by as much. And then there is the mobility trade-off. To balance out the incredible speed you get while running, the Babyface's Blaster takes away some of Scout's signature agility. If you double jump, you will lose 75% of your boost meter, meaning one jump instantly drops you to the regular speed Scout has, 133%. This is of course assuming you had full boost to begin with. Anything less, and you will be brought down even further. And that is it for the downsides. This is just a weapon which decreases your double jump, so your aerial mobility, in return for making you more grounded and faster. Nothing else is really wrong. Boost reduction when hit. Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure it's not that bad. I mean, with all of that speed, you can probably avoid most damage, right? Just take a couple small chip hits and it's no big deal. So how much damage does it actually take to remove all of your boost? 25? That's it? With that final downside, it is easy to see why no one really uses this weapon. One stray rocket or a random pistol shot, and suddenly you're slower than usual, with 2 fewer shots to defend yourself too. Meaning that to regain that lost speed, you need to deal an entire 100 damage, meaning your enemies effectively have it 4 times easier to do any harm to you. So, how am I going to try and defend this? Well, for me to really defend this weapon with that horrible downside, I first need to talk a little more about how the boost mechanic actually works. To reach full boost, you need to deal 100 damage, which, if you've played Scout for more than 5 minutes, you should know is one single solid meat shot. A single close range blast dealing 105 damage is already enough to max out your speed. Now, since you start at 120% speed and can reach 173, that's an increase of roughly 1% speed for every 2 damage you deal. But instead of comparing the slower starting speed of 120 to the max 173, let's look at it from a different angle, since that is a very large leap. Because if you were to ignore the boost entirely, all this weapon is the regular scattergun with 2 less shots, and you move slightly slower. So instead of trying to compare the 173% speed at full boost and the regular 120%, how about we look at the default 0 boost compared to a regular scout moving at 133%. So how much damage do you need to be even? Well, with the Babyface's Blaster, you will only need 25 damage in order to reach 133% speed, just like a regular scout. With one average scattergun shot from medium range, and I say medium rather generously really, you're already moving just as fast as a regular scout. From there, you have still got 75 more damage of boost to gain, which means you can just be even faster. Sure, it might only be 25 damage that an enemy needs to deal to you to remove your boost, but in order for you to be even with other scouts, you too only need 25 damage. When you look at it from that angle, it makes the interaction seem a little bit more balanced. But that is just on paper, but in actual fight, things play out very differently. Scout almost always plays at close range. That is just how he works. And when you're that close, even your weakest shots are going to hit for around 50 to 80 damage, which is already half to 3/4 of your entire boost bar gained in a single shot. So in practice, a lot of the time you will not be crawling around the map at 120% speed. You are almost instantly jumping from speeds like 148% or 163, which is about 15 to 30% increase over a regular scout. And that is where the Babyface's Blaster really starts to shine. Because once you're moving that fast, everything changes. I've talked about how Scout's speed is what makes him strong, but I haven't actually said why. And since that's the Babyface's Blaster's only upside, it is worth asking, why even bother being faster in the first place? Well, usually people in Team Fortress 2 try to shoot you, and they will do this using a very advanced, highly technical piece of gaming equipment called a mouse. And players have to move this mouse around in order to follow your movements, what is known as tracking. And so the faster that you move, the less time that they have to react to your directional changes, the less time you're on their screen, and that means that you are harder to track with their mouse, harder to hit, and ultimately take less damage just by moving around slightly faster than everyone else. And that's just the real power of Scout speed. It isn't just about running in circles around people, it's about making your opponents miss, it's about getting out of their sight and dodging their blows entirely. And the Babyface's Blaster takes that idea and pushes it to its extreme. Of course, yes, if you want to double jump to avoid an attack or take a little bit of chip damage, then sure, you will slow down. But is it really an issue? I mean it. If you take some small damage in a fight, you're probably at close range anyway, which means you can just shoot them again almost instantly and regain a large majority of your boost. So long as you deal at least 25 damage, you will not notice a single thing from playing regular Scout. It can become this sort of tug-of-war interaction. You get speed, you slow down a little, and then instantly gain it back. The way in which I view the Babyface's Blaster is a weapon which is pretty similar to the Big Gunner for Spy. That weapon is all about bursting speed. You get it, you use it, and then it disappears after a few seconds. The Babyface's Blaster works in much the same way. You pick a target, and kill them, and suddenly you're absurdly fast. You use that speed to close in on your next target, and if you take a hit, it's no problem. Just land another shot, and you're moving at top speed again. Now, aside from making it easier for you to dodge, the increased movement speed also just allows you to kill enemies more efficiently. If enemies are spread apart far away in the map, you can run towards them in no time. And you don't have to use that speed to hunt enemies. It only disappears if you double jump or take damage, so if things get messy, you can just use it to run away from every enemy, with them having no way to actually catch you up. Now, what about double jumping? Sure, if you double jump with full boost, you drop down to regular scout speed. And yes, this is a downside, but here's the thing. If you compare it to a normal double jump without the babyface's blaster, the end result is the exact same. If you're already out of boost, then there is no penalty at all. So either way, you can just still double jump. Even in the middle of the fight, this isn't a problem. Take a shot, double jump to dodge an attack, and hit one more shot and you get all of your lost boost back. So using a double jump mid-fight is easy and safe. It doesn't really cost you anything, especially if you are landing your shots, like you should be. Alright, now let's talk about the reduced clip size. Going from 6 shots down to 4 might seem painful at first. That is a third fewer chances to hit your target and deal damage. But the way that I look at it is that with all of that extra movement speed, you can get in closer. And closer range means that your shots are likely to hit and deal more damage, meaning you might need fewer hits to actually finish someone off. That reduced clip size becomes less of a problem when every shot is dealing so much more damage. And if you do eventually need to reload mid-battle, the babyface's blaster doesn't leave you vulnerable. With your insane speed, you can just run away, find cover and reload safely before your next engagement. The thing about this weapon is that it really should be attracting the try-hard scouts. It gives you higher highs with only a tiny low to worry about. With all of that speed you can easily outmatch anybody, especially other scouts who are used to fighting on their own terms. But with the babyface's blaster? Nope, I'm the one in control. Check out this clip. I've got this soldier firing rockets at me, but I have got my boost. A regular scout would either run straight at them and die, or awkwardly retreat. But a babyface's blaster scout? We don't have that problem. In almost no time, I flank across the entire map, get behind them and take them out. Scout is already hard to counter when taken by surprise. Give him more speed, and there's really nothing you can do. It's like having the strength of multiple scouts all in one player. It would take like 2 entire scouts to maybe rival. Wait, I cut this out. Hopefully by now I've managed to convince you that maybe this weapon isn't actually that bad. But there are some things that make the babyface's blaster even better, and that is your secondaries. Now, secondaries already matter a lot for Scout. They can completely change how he plays, but with this weapon, they matter even more than normal, because of a little quirk in how the boost works. It isn't just tied to your primary weapon. You can build a boost by using any of your weapons, your melee, your secondary, and even spells in Halloween. So which secondary should you use in order to maximize this weapon's potential? Well, honestly, anything works. Scout already has an amazing selection of secondaries, and most of them can fit nicely alongside the babyface's blaster. But some definitely stand out as being more useful than others, especially when it comes to building and keeping your boost. So here are my top 3 picks for secondaries that work best with this weapon. Now, one that might seem a little strange at first, the Bonk Atomic Punch. When you drink it, you become completely immune to damage, which means that while Bonk is active, the babyface's blaster lose boost when hit penalty simply doesn't happen. You get to keep your boost no matter how much damage is thrown your way, since it is all taken down to 0. It's perfect for escaping or for maintaining your speed when you're under fire, especially from long range. Or, if you're feeling bold, you can just drink it right in front of someone's face and then blast off at light speed while they can't do a single thing about it. The babyface's blaster even helps to mitigate the bonk's downside. Normally after it wears off, you're slowed down based on how much damage you take while invincible. While the slowdown isn't actually cancelled out by the babyface's blaster, if you strafe using A and D, you'll move at normal speed, and with the babyface's blaster boost, that normal speed becomes ridiculously fast. Overall, these two weapons make a great pair. They cover each other's weaknesses very well, Bonk protects your boost from being lost, and the Babyface's blaster helps you recover from the Bonk slowdown. However, while they do a good job at covering your downsides, they don't amplify your strengths much. You're not becoming stronger or deadlier, just more consistent and harder to punish. While it is a solid combo, it isn't one that pushes the weapon to its full potential. So next up, and one that fits in a similar boat to the Bonk, is the Winger. This weapon has 3 stats, and the first one I want to focus is 25% higher jump height while you hold it. This is especially useful with the Babyface's blasters because of the boost reduction on double jump. A higher jump can't fully replace a double jump, but it does help to mitigate that downside nicely, giving you an alternative to using up your boost in order to reach higher places. But that is not all. The main reason I use the Winger with the Babyface's blaster is the 15% extra damage, and this makes it perfect for building your boost at further ranges. Its higher damage compared to the other pistols means that you can shoot enemies from medium to long range and gain boost far more efficiently than the other pistols. To put it into perspective, remember how you only need 25 damage to reach normal scout speed? With the Winger, you can hit that in just 2 shots, whereas the other pistols might take 3. And that is exactly the efficiency you want in order to keep your boost up and maintain control of the fight. The downside, it has a 60% smaller clip size, dropping it from 12 down to just 5 shots, and that makes it worse for long fights. But when paired with the Babyface's blaster, close range, high mobility and hit and run playstyle, it's rarely a major problem, since just like the Babyface's blaster -2 clip, you can just flee and reload when safe. So while these two weapons combo together nicely, there's something which I think is even better. The Flying Guillotine is easily the best pick to pair with the Babyface's blaster. Now, it doesn't directly cover its downsides like the Bonk or the Winger do, but it is incredibly useful for what the weapon itself is. A single-use, burst damage projectile. When thrown at an enemy, it instantly deals 50 damage, filling half of your boost meter right away. Compared to the pistol, which requires multiple shots and suffer from damage fall-off, this is huge. You can safely build boost even from long range, or when your scattergun is out of bullets, you can use it as a finisher. But that's not all. The Flying Guillotine also causes the enemy to bleed for 5 seconds, dealing 8 DPS, adding up to another 40 damage, meaning that a single hit can deal 90 total damage, which is almost enough to fully charge your boost just from this single secondary weapon. While that damage is impressive, that isn't the reason you should use it, but rather the fact that this damage is done over time thanks to the bleed. Because when I said the Flying Guillotine doesn't cover the Babyface's downside, I lied, because it actually does, namely the -10% move speed, and the take damage lose boost. Well, if an enemy is bleeding and you take damage, the bleeding ticks automatically will restore your boost. It'll only take 3 seconds for your boost to reach 25 damage, putting you back to your regular 133% scout speed. If you can have an enemy who is currently bleeding, it means that if you take damage, and if you fail to get any more shots off, eventually you will be able to rebuild your boost automatically. The bleed only lasts for 5 seconds, and that doesn't sound very great. But the cleaver's cooldown is also just 5 seconds, so with good timing, you realistically can always have an enemy bleeding, keeping your boost topped off. And don't forget about how good that 50 damage on hit itself is. It is already a massive increase to your boost meter. And there's more. If you throw the Flying Guillotine and let it travel for about 0.5 seconds before hitting, like a long range shot, it actually reduces the cooldown by 1.5 seconds, making it just 3.5, and this lets you throw another one before the first instance of bleed even wears off. Sure, hitting moving targets with a fast projectile isn't always easy, but with the Babyface's blaster and increased move speed, you can backpedal or reposition to make it work a little bit more reliably. And what this means is that you can pretty much always have an enemy who's bleeding, so you can always have some of your boost building up. Basically, use the Flying Guillotine as a fight starter. Throw it from afar to instantly gain 50% of your boost, and then use that speed, plus the ongoing bleed, to close in on your target even faster than normal. If you take damage on the way, the bleed restores your boost, letting you keep on moving and shooting. Once you're close enough, a single shot from your scattergun would usually be enough to finish them off, thanks to the high damage the Flying Guillotine deals to begin with. In my opinion, the Flying Guillotine is the best secondary weapon to pair the Babyface's blaster with, and honestly, it's just really fun to use. That said, it can be a bit harder to use if you're not comfortable with projectiles, so if that is the case, the Winger might be a little bit more reliable for building boost consistently, and of course, the Bonk Atomic Punch is just plain fun. Now, when it comes to melees, things are a little bit more clear. Mostly because most of them aren't great in general, and with the Babyface's blaster, some get to join them. The Flannel War just plain terrible, same with the stock bat. The Sun on the Stick doesn't really offer anything useful here. The Candy Cane is a bit more divisive. I personally love it, but it has such a big downside, with the Babyface's blaster taking more damage from explosives, means that even small rocket splash can remove all of your boost, slowing you down and making you even more vulnerable to follow-up damage, which, thanks to the downside, can just one-shot you. The Atomizer is normally great, that triple jump is amazing, but with the Babyface's blaster, every double jump or the triple jump will remove your boost, so using it consistently makes it so you lose lots of speed. You can still use it, either by sacrificing your boost or only at 0 boost, but it's just not the most optimal pairing. The Sandman, well, it's not really great in general, but paired with the Babyface's blaster, at least it's really funny. The ball when thrown can slow enemies down to the speed of a walking heavy. Meanwhile, you're sprinting towards them at the game's literal speed cap. Totally unnecessary, but it's more about sending a message. Could it be useful for damage? Well, it does an impressive 15 damage. Okay, maybe not. Throw it from a longer distance and it actually increases its damage to an impressive 22 damage. Okay, maybe not. And since it's a melee weapon, the ball has a higher chance to random crit, giving a max of 66 damage. Okay, maybe not. The one legitimate use, slowing down an enemy during a scout duel. Since the Babyface's blaster makes you slower if you're out of boost, you're able to drag another scout down to your level. Also, you can try and get a Sandman Cleaver and pretend it's the good days. It's not the strongest weapon. That's it. Now what is the strongest weapon? A tube of wrapping paper and a Christmas ball. The Rap Assassin. Similar to the Sandman, this weapon lets you throw a ball. But unlike the Sandman, it doesn't reduce your maximum HP and its effect is actually useful. To put it simply, this is like a mini Flying Guillotine for your melee slot. With a 7.5 second recharge, you can fire a ball which deals 15 damage, plus an explosive splash damage ranging from 4 to 24, for a potential 39 damage on hit. On hit, it also applies 5 seconds of bleed, dealing 8 DPS, 40 damage overall, which is 59 to 79 damage just from the ball itself. For every reason that the Cleaver was a good secondary, this is a good melee. Now I could pad out the runtime by repeating it, but if you've forgotten why the Cleaver was a good secondary, then get off TikTok, fix your attention span, and just watch that segment again. Just like the Sandman, the ball has a higher chance to random crit, but you don't actually need that. If you let the ball travel for a whole 1 second before hitting, it's actually guaranteed to crit, which means the ball can hit for actually up to 117 damage by itself, and with the bleed on top, 157, which is enough to one-shot a medic. Now I have hyped it up a lot, but the splash is rather inconsistent, so often you'll just get the lower end of the range. Even then, with a minimum of 15 damage from the ball and 4 from the splash, so 19, times by 3, that's still 57 damage, which is incredible for a melee. Doing the long shot with the Cleaver is hard for 0.5 seconds, and this weapon demands an entire second for its buff. So it really does come into play, even with the Babyface's blaster helping you backpedal into position. It's still a challenge, but still, without hitting the guaranteed crit, the Rap Assassin is a no-brainer pick for the Babyface's blaster, especially if you stack it with the cleaver, giving you 2 sets of bleed at the same time. And in my opinion, it's a no-brainer pick for Scout as a whole, any primary, any secondary. And finally, Scout's last melee, the Boston Basher. Is it a good pick? Yeah, sometimes. The bleed effect on hit is obviously useful, as I've mentioned before, and since it's a melee weapon based on your swing, you're able to stack it up very quickly. Its best use is to open a fight as an ambush, acting like a close range cleaver, surprising your enemy and immediately gaining boost from the damage over time effect. But if you mess the hit up, you'll hit yourself, and lose all of your boost, and cripple your chances of gaining any more for the next 5 seconds. Basically, only picks this if you're confident in your aim and timing. It is a high risk and high reward option. And hopefully by this point in the video, since it's the end and all, I've managed to convince you that maybe the Babyface's Blaster isn't the weak, underwhelming weapon that it's often made out to be. With the right melees and secondaries, you really can just dominate the battlefield with nobody able to stop you. So, if that, or just running around with this game's speed cap seems fun to you, I think you should give the Babyface's Blaster a try. So if you enjoyed this, don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. If you have anything you would like to add about the Babyface's Blaster, please share your opinions in the comments, good and bad. And if you want to hang out, chat about the game, or just anything, come join my Discord, I'd love to see you there. And I'll see you next time. Bye.